All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Truth Seeking Network. I'm back again, hitting y'all with some more information. So we're gonna get into a little something today. I hope this won't be long. It might be, but for the people who really want to watch this and understand and see, um, you can't do things like this uh, fast. You have to, in order for people to see, you have to show the truth, right? And see what was going on. All right, so y'all see on my screen right here, right? It's Albert Pike letter to Mazzini, the Illuminati plan for the three world wars. August 15th. See the date, y'all? 1871. Now, what I want y'all to understand, and I'm gonna show y'all what was going on in the United States during that time of 1871. In case y'all don't know, it was called the Reconstruction, or like I said in my last video, the reset was going on. The Reconstruction from the late 1871 all the way, and they said to 1877, but their Reconstruction was going on way further than that. And Albert Pike, as we're gonna get into this man, we're gonna find out who he was after I read this letter. So we can get into who Albert Pike was. But the letter says that the Illuminati plan for the three world wars, August 15, dated 1871. Listen to this, y'all. The following is a letter that speculation claimed that Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871 regarding a conspiracy involving three world wars. Now, as we're going to see, it wasn't just a conspiracy. Again, that's the word that the CIA came up with when people were telling the truth. They call them conspiracy theorists, right? So to throw people off, to make people laugh at them, to say, "Oh, yeah, look at them. You one of those. Who are you? You one of those conspiracy theorists." Ha 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 ha. And a lot of times, the so-called conspiracy theorists, the things that they say actually come true, and then nobody's laughing anymore. But sometimes it's best to listen to these so-called conspiracy theorists before it's too late. Just like what just happened in the last few years. It was a conspiracy about what was going on. And y'all know, I'm not gonna mention it, but y'all know what was going on in the last couple of years from 2020 and 2021. And people were warning you and telling you, hey, not to do it, stay away from that thing in the arm, but people did it anyway, right? And they, the passes and all that, people thought it was all conspiracy. But it came out all to be true. And it's going on right now. So they say things that are conspiracy theories. Sometimes it's best to stop watching the football game, right? Stop being distracted all the time and pay attention. Stop listening to dumbed down music and pay attention, because you might learn something. Anyway, the Pike letter to the Giuseppe Mazzini was on display in the British Museum Library in London until 1977. This letter has been claimed by many internet sites to reside in the British Library in London, which denies the letter exists. Giuseppe Mazzini was an Italian revolutionary leader of the mid-1800s and was the director of the Illuminati. Albert Pike, historic Masonic figure, was a 33-degree Mason, occultist, Grand Master, and creation of the southern jurisdiction of the Masonic Scottish Rite Order. He also, y'all, was the head of the Ku Klux Klan and the creator of the Ku Klux Klan. So let's get that in there too. We're going to show you in a second. Following are apparently the extracts from the letter showing how the three world wars have been planned for many generations. Now listen, World War I must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the powers of the czars in Russia and making that country a fortress of, what do you call that, atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments in order to weaken the religions. Did that happen? Yep. Second World War. And this is the one that we're going to be getting into today. I'm going to be getting into this right here. So y'all pay attention to this one. The Second War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. I'm going to read that one more time. This war must be brought about so that the Nazism is destroyed and the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. Now, remember, y'all, this was written in 1871. Okay? I want y'all to get that through your heads. August the 15th, 1871, this letter was written. And what was World War II about? Who was in the so-called concentration camps? Because we're going to get into all this stuff right here. Anyway, during the Second World War, and I can't say some things on here, y'all. Y'all understand, right? Just letting y'all know that I can't say everything that you want to say on YouTube because they'll take the video down. So I need y'all to be wise and use your brains and think, okay? I need y'all to think because I'm gonna be saying some stuff in this video, and y'all, some of the stuff y'all gonna have to read between the lines because I can't say it. During the Second War, international communism must be strong enough in order to balance Christendom and would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. So they wanted to make a state of Israel and then place it in Palestine. Okay. Third war must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, see, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction or anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. So this is what they've been saying they've been worshiping the whole time. And the reason why y'all gonna be disillusioned with Christianity, because he knows that that's what they created and they fooled the world with. Just like they fooled the world with Israel coming back as a nation in 1948. That is not biblical prophecy, as y'all gonna see. Okay? That is not the biblical prophecy of Israel becoming a nation. That is not true. Yet the Christian church, everybody says, "Oh yeah, that was a fulfillment of prophecy." Big fat lie. Anyway, For an ideal, but without knowing where their rendered adoration will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary moment which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. So now I'm going to show you an article on this cat right here. That's Albert Pike right there, y'all. I'm not going to read this part. I'm going to show y'all something else, but this is Albert Pike, the great, whatever. All right. So let's get into this guy, Albert Pike. All right. Why Albert Pike's statue must fall, the Scottish Rite Ku Klux Klan project. In the heart of Washington, D.C., in Judiciary Square, there is a large statue and monument honoring the most important founder of the Ku Klux Klan, Confederate General Albert Pike. And why did they put that in Washington, D.C., y'all? Is this a great nation for real? Or is there something sinister going on here? Inscribed on the base of the statue are the words "Poet." The terrorist anthem of KKK was his most famous literary work. And jurist, he was called the KKK's chief judiciary officer and reputed wrote the organization manual for terrorist anti-Black movement after the U.S. Civil War. So again, what happened after the Civil War, y'all? Reconstruction. That's when they renamed everything. That's when you see, if you watch my last video, all the people coming in, taking over towns and states, right? But they also wanted to move Israel or make a place for Israel in World War II and Palestine. Now, why did they want to move Israel to Palestine? And I'm going to tell you why. And we're going to get into it. Because the true place where the biblical information took place was in the Americas. So they had to create a world, just like they changed the land masses to in America, start renaming everything, right? They renamed the people. Go watch my last video. They named the states. These names they created, these imaginary lines they put in, this state, this another state. All this stuff was done by them. Making Canada, Alaska, all these names, right? They reconstructed everything or reset everything. So they replaced places where West was, they moved the name to other places. So they had the world to believe that, now I told y'all know Jesus Christ is fake if you follow me. And you watch my videos, and I'm proving that. I'm gonna prove that through the videos. I'm showing it to you. Go watch my Christianity videos I've done so far. He was a construct of these people. And that's why he says in that letter, later on, y'all gonna be disillusioned with Christianity. Because the truth is gonna come out. They created that Israel over there to make everybody believe that that's the promised land. So they created that. When in fact, the promised land has always been in the United States. That's why everybody in the world wants to come to America. They leave their homelands and flood this nation. But also, who was in the United States too? Who were the indigenous people of the United States at the same time? The so-called Negroes were. That's why he has an look right here. He was called the KKK's chief judiciary officer and reputedly wrote or organized his manual for the terrorist anti-Black movement. Why didn't they say anti-Indian? If the Indians were the people that was on this planet, why would they first bring people from Africa to America? just to have an anti-black movement against them. Make that make sense. Y'all getting the truth on this network. Make that make sense. You mean you stole people from Africa just to have an anti-terrorist network against them? And remember, watch my last videos, y'all. Yeah, I'm shouting. I don't care. Because if you watch my last videos, look at all the black towns that were underwater. How did these black people get all these towns underwater? How many slaves came to America that they just made towns and everything, cities, storefronts, everything, schools, hospitals, and then they say, you know what, let's go just burn them all down and let's bury them underwater. See, that's what I'm trying to get y'all to think. There were black towns underwater because guess what? Indigenous Americans were here, the so-called Negroes. And that's why I said we don't go by the name black, because you're not going to black us out. Or African American. Everywhere you go now, you see African American. Don't let them fool y'all with that foolishness. Anyway, let's get going. So, the organization manual for the terrorist anti-black movement after the Civil War. And remember, Reconstruction happened starting in 1871, I believe. And that's the same time he wrote what? Those letters to Mazzini, right? He wrote those about the last 3 wars, right? So they were planning all this. The reconstruction of everything. These people were behind it all. So what happened in 1942? What happened in World War II? They created a place called Israel, right? In 1942. They sure did. The statute is a tribute to the influence of Pike's organization. It has power in the executive branch and the Congress and is decisive in the courts. Do I mean that the Ku Klux Klan has such a sway over the government? No, I'm speaking here of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry's southern jurisdiction, of which Pike was the chief sovereign grand commander. The Ku Klux Klan, the Southern Confederacy, and the pre-Civil War secession movement were a single, continuous project with Pike's Scottish Rite at its center. Though the Confederacy was defeated, this project still dominates U.S. political life. You see, y'all? So I'm not going to read the whole story once again. I'm just trying to show y'all. That's why they was bringing in people and fitting in America to get rid of that. And like I said, the government was part of it because they were to bring in these people to move us out. And now that's why it was so anti-black. And like I told y'all in the last video, it was always so-called black and white. But they moved a little slither piece of land over there in Oklahoma and said, those are the Native American stuff. Yet, like I said, when you walk out your doors, you don't see them nowhere. So this all was created during the same time of Reconstruction in America. The letters, the 3 last wars, he wrote that in 1871, right? At the same time, they were reconstructing the United States. The Devil's Punch Bowl, all those things were going on in America. Our people were losing their lands, right? Being reclassified. Like I said, everybody was being reclassified. There was no such thing as a Puerto Rican. Puerto Rican means Port of Riches, right? Costa Rica means Coast of Riches. So they were just renaming and making more states and dividing the lines, whatever they were doing. But they created it. And he was the founder of it, Albert Pike. So if y'all didn't know that, now you know. Y'all see, right? So this is Reconstruction Act of 1867. Voters were registered, all freemen were to be included as well as white men who took extended loyalty. state constitutional conventions, compromising elected delegates were to draft new governing documents providing for Black male suffrage. See that? Where's the Indian? Y'all following what I'm saying? Please, y'all. I need y'all to share the video and make y'all understand that America was always has been so-called Black people or African Americans' land. All their stuff, you see, 1867, they're not talking about no American Indians, because the American Indian and the so-called African American are one and the same. Look at that. Click on this. What did I click on? What were the three main features of the Reconstruction Act? What did the Reconstruction Act of 1867 abolish? The Reconstruction Act required all Southern states to eliminate their Black codes. See? And ratify the 14th Amendment. The act also disabled Confederate leaders and any individual who did not pledge their allegiance to the United States from voting. See, so what did they mean by pledging your allegiance to the United States? See, as I told y'all, United States and America are two different things. The United States is the corporations that landed on America. And that's why the United States elect a president. No, it's not for you. It's for to be in charge of the corporation. You get it? America is the landmass that was already here when my people was already on. The corporation of the United States landed on America. So you have to pledge your allegiance to America, to the United States. See? Allegiance to the United States. So they basically took over. And this was all about. It's not what they said or what they was telling you they was talking about. Okay? It's something totally different. Now, what I want to show y'all, so now y'all know, I gave you basically who Albert Pike was. You've seen his 3 letters, right? But we're going to focus on World War II at this time, because I need to show y'all something. So we're going to get into this. So what was happening in World War II, y'all? Hitler was in charge, right, of Nazi Germany. And you know the camps that they had over there, right? They said where the people's supposedly been, killed at, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. These camps and all that stuff, what was going on. What if I was to tell y'all that this whole thing was planned out, and I'm gonna show y'all what happened before the 1948. What happened before 1948 when they gave the land to, when they created the land of Israel, right? So let's get into what happened right before that. Now, I would say, y'all, how coincidental was this? Now, y'all see the top of my page right there. It says the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? Right? So now I want y'all to understand what Albert Pike wrote in 1871. I want y'all to think what was going on during World War II with the Wish people, right? Now, understand something, y'all. I'm going to say this. Those people are not the people of the Bible. Again, I'm going to say it clearly. Those people are not the people of the Bible, right? They are not. That is not who they are. We're going to prove that in this video. Say it one more time. Those people, right, that was in Nazi Germany are not the people that's in the Bible. right? Those are not the Hebrew or the Hebrew Israelites. They are not the same. The world wants you to believe that's who they are, but that's not, because the Bible is going to prove it itself as we get through this. But anyway, so let's get this story and let's see what it took place. Now, remember, that place was created in 1948. So what happened before that? Here we go. As the story goes, a shepherd of Tamara tribe that left his flock of sheep and goats to search for a stray amid the crumbling limestone cliffs that line the northern rim or northwestern rim of the Dead Sea. Around the site of Qumran, he found a cave in the crevice of a steep rocky hillside. Around the site of Qumran, he found a cave in the crevice of a steep rocky hillside. Intrigued, he cast a stone into the dark interior, only to be startled by the sound of breaking pots. This sound echoed around the world, for he stumbled on the greatest find of the century, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Upon entering the cave, the young Bodonian, whatever, found a mysterious collection of large clay pot jars. The majority were empty, and upon examining the remaining few, he found that the jars were intact, with lids still in place. However, a closer look revealed nothing but old scrolls, some wrapped in linen, blackened with age. He and several companions brought the scrolls to the Candu and a Bethlehem antiques dealer for appraisal. Intrigued by the findings, Candu sent the Bedouin back to the caves in search for more treasures. To his delight, they returned with a total of 7 scrolls. Blind to the real value, the Bodine sold 4 of the 7 scrolls to Candu and 3 to a second antiques dealer named Salhala. Candu then resold the 4 scrolls to Archbishop Samuel, head of the Syrian Orthodox monastery at St. Mark in Jerusalem. See, I can already see at St. Mark in Jerusalem, right? When Hebrew University professor Eleazar Lepa Kanunik caught wind of the scrolls discovery through an American antiquities dealer, Armenian antiquities dealer, he set out to investigate the significance of the finds. Braving Arab-Jewish tensions, he traveled to meet the Armenian dealer at the British divided military zone of Jerusalem border. In this clandestine meeting, the dealer held up a fragment of leather for the professor to examine. As Sukhanuk peered through the wire, he recognized ancient writings. Eager to see more, Sikinik traveled with the dealer to Bethlehem to see Salala, who was in the possession of the 3 scrolls. Opening the scrolls, he was amazed to see Hebrew manuscripts 1,000 years older than existing biblical texts and daily significantly recollected. So the first 3, let's see, the first 3 works under the cave of St. Mark Monastery, complete manuscript, the Book of Isaiah, sectarian work called the Community Rule, and commentary of the Habakkuk, and photographed by John Trevor, then director of Jerusalem American Schools of Oriental Research. Sukinik acquires and publishes selections of 3 scrolls: the War Scrolls, the Thanksgiving Scroll, and a copy of Isaiah. So when did this take place? When did they actually first find this? What year was this? That year was 1947. See? Those scrolls were found in early 1947, 46, 47. Okay. See, the Shrine book was first scrolls discovered at Qumran in 1947. So all of a sudden now, they find scrolls in the cave in 1947. And so this is the excuse that they needed to put those people in the land in 1948. Because they said, trying to show by finding these things in the cave, that this is what these finding these in the cave, this is what get said, this is their ancestral lands, because they found these scrolls in the cave. Now this is my personal opinion, they were placed there. This whole thing was set up. Just like Albert Pike said in 1871, they were going to establish a place of Israel in Palestine. That's not my words, that's what he wrote in 1871. And when they was going to do this, the Second World War. So you got a year or two earlier, before 48, these supposed to be found, so they get them right to put them in the land. Okay? So this was the storyline that was leading up to it to get them in the land in 1948. All right, y'all. So y'all see on my page, right? So does the state of Israel fulfill biblical prophecy? Now, and this is why I want to say to y'all, this is why the right people have to read the scriptures, okay? Because these people who are telling you that this is fulfillment of prophecy, what happened in 1948, because a lot of the Christians, like I told y'all about the Christian before, they are part of the illusion of what's going on. Just like Albert Pike said, y'all will be disillusioned with it, right? They have misled you to believe that this is a fulfillment of prophecy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this little page, and I'm going to take y'all to the scriptures now for yourselves, so you see it for yourself. Okay? What the Most High said he going to do when he comes back. And he said who the Messiah going to be when he comes back. Right? These Jewish and these Christians, a lot of them are claiming they're trying to blend the Christianity with Jesus, but like I said, that's coming from Rome. They reconstructed the world. Rome, and they put Israel over there, and they said that was a fulfillment of prophecy. Even for 40 years when I was growing up, we always told that that's the land of Israel. That was a fulfillment of prophecy. We in the last days, the last people to see Israel become a nation. That's when Jesus is gonna come back. That's what we were told in our church. Yeah, that was the last fulfillment of prophecy. Israel became a nation. But is that fulfillment of prophecy, or is that something that they created? See, that's what y'all got to understand. That's man's creation. Because now we're going to read the script. Once we read this, we're going to get into some scriptures, and I'm going to show it to you. And you're going to see what the Most High says himself. He didn't need the League of Nations, United States, Truman, or anybody else to come in and step in to sign the bill, whatever, to create them a state and say Israel is now a nation. Right? These are the same people that invaded America. Truman and all the rest of them, right? I mean, we're going to be real because we got to keep this straight. So the same people that invaded America and took over America, the same people that reclassified the people in America and the lands in America, have now orchestrated in creating a state of Israel. This is fact. What part of that did I say was wrong? None of it. All right. So let's read this. Every time the institution of Israel-Palestine hits the news, for Christians, one of the issues that emerges is whether or not the modern state of Israel is fulfillment of biblical prophecy. The main prophetic texts appeal in the latter chapters of Ezekiel, particularly Ezekiel 39. But in order to understand whether there is connection between these texts, an event in the modern world, we need to look carefully at what Ezekiel says, how it was understood, and most importantly of all, how the writers of the New Testament understood these passages in relation to the ministry of Jesus. See, now I'm already proving y'all about Jesus already. I will do the resurrection story later on. Okay, we're gonna get that, and I'm gonna show you a whole bunch of other stuff. If you have not watched my old videos, I'm showing that this, see, that's why these people are including this Jesus character. Because it's part of the illusion. It's part of the thing that they got entrapped everybody with. So they gotta connect them both. They fooled the world with this, y'all. They fooled the world. The Roman Catholic Church, these countries all working in the same construct to fool the world. And I'm unraveling it for you. All you got to do is get your Bible and follow. Look, Colin Chapman, who has written widely on the subject of the Middle East, engaged with these questions in the State Grove biblical book, Prophecy Fulfilled Today. Does Ezekiel have anything to say about the modern state of Israel? He starts by noting that the question has been a concern of Christians for nearly 400 years. No, hold on. 400 years. Anyway, it is a discussion about the fulfillment of prophecy. In recent history, that there is most division among Christians. Since the time of the Puritans in the 17th century, many have believed that the prophecies in Ezekiel and the other prophets concerning the return to the land and the restoration of Israel would one day be fulfilled literally. This view is generally known as restorationism. And since the beginning of Zionist movement in the 1880s, many Christians have been convinced that these prophecies, together with biblical promise about the land, were being fulfilled. See, of the 1880s. To engage, when he wrote that letter in 1871, Albert Pike, to engage with this question, the first thing Chapman does is to put Ezekiel and this prophecy in its context. When Ezekiel was writing, what was the situation and what questions he is seeking to address? Ezekiel's first task was to explain to his people that the fall of Jerusalem and the exile were God's judgments for the ways in which they had broken the covenant. God had taken away four of the most fundamental and significant gifts included in the covenant: the land, the city of Jerusalem, the temple, and the monarchy. Having explained the reason for the exile in the second part of the book of Ezekiel, gives his people hope for the future, chapter 33 through 48. Not only will they be able to return to their land, but they will see that God is going to do something radical new and through their restoration in the land, in the temple, and the monarchy. But when we look at the history of the people of the land after their return and the next 4 centuries, it's hard to see much evidence of the national and spiritual renewal and revival that Ezekiel envisioned. I guess he said envisioned, or I don't know how to say that word, emphasis, whatever. Y'all get, I guess it's like he envisioned, basically. It was not surprising, therefore, that in the interstrumental period, people began to dream of the time when God would intervene in miraculous ways to fulfill the visions of the prophets. Some of the hopes centered around the girl of a Messiah who would be either a supernatural figure coming in the clouds or a military figure overcoming. See, this is how you know that these people are not the people of the Bible. They have no clue what they're talking about. They have no clue who the people of the Bible are. They have no clue whatsoever. And that's why I said, these are your scholars. These are the people that everybody's following. And they haven't got a clue. Chapman said, I mean, no wonder these people saying they haven't seen much of evidence of the natural spiritual renewal since that Ezekiel was talking about. Why? Because Ezekiel wasn't talking about this. They created this mess. This is not Israel, and these are not the people. I'm going to take y'all to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we're going to see what happened to the people of Israel. Because according to the Bible, in Deuteronomy and now, that's why the Most High is coming back, y'all. If you go back and watch my videos, the ones I just did in the past, who's the Messiah? He tells you why they're coming back, because his people are on the bottom in this earth right now. His people had their land taken over. And he told them that these curses are going to be on them forever until he comes back. That's why you're not seeing no fulfillment. This is going to be upon their seed forever until he comes back. Chapman Center chapters then looks at 7 major themes that are associated with the restoration for exile, particularly in Ezekiel 34 and 37, and see how these themes are taken up in the New Testament. First of all, the New Testament is not talking about that. See, you know what? Y'all can read this. Here's the article. Because once you start getting into the Luke and Peter and John, they're not speaking the words of the Most High, y'all. They're not speaking the words of the Most High. And I'm not going to waste my time with it. So let's go into some scriptures now. All right? Let's get into some scriptures. All right, y'all. So I'm in Ezekiel chapter 34. I picked one of their chapters that they use. That they said this is for men of prophecy. So now let's read it together, please, people. All right? And this is the Most High speaking, all right? And I'm going to start at verse 19. And it says, and as for my flock, they eat that which you have trodden with your feet, and they drink that which you have fouled with your feet. So his feet, his flock is on the bottom. Okay? The Most High's people, he's telling you they're on the bottom right now. And they're going to be on the bottom until he comes back. All the nations are making money off of his people. His people are being discriminated against. His people have been called other names. Okay? So when I go to Deuteronomy, I'm going to get on some of these things. But right now, we're going to get into this fulfillment of biblical prophecy that these so-called fakes are talking about. See, they're fooling y'all. They're fooling y'all. They're not telling you the truth. Listen to this. Because ye have thrust with side, with shoulder, and pushed with all the disease with your horns, till ye have scattered them abroad. Therefore, I will save my flock. Did it say the United States going to save his flock? Did it say Britain, British, or any of these other nations going to sign a treaty and save his flock? Did he say they're going to find some scrolls in a cave? And they shall no more be a prey. I will judge between cattle and cattle. And I will set up one shepherd over them. He shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them. He shall be their shepherd. Did David come back yet? That's why you don't see anything. It hasn't been fulfilled yet. The world has disillusioned you with a lie. With Jesus. Jesus is not the Messiah. David will be. And how do we know this? Because I'm going to pull a few more scriptures out just for y'all back in the room again. In case y'all don't know nothing. Or you act like you don't know nothing. I mean, all you have to do is go back and watch my video called Who's the Messiah? I break it down right there for you. Plain to see. And there's way more scriptures I could have gave, but I'm just kind of showing it to you. All right? Listen to this. I will set up one shepherd over them. He shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David, a prince among them. I, the Lord, has spoken it. Case closed. But I'm going to keep reading. I will make them a covenant of peace. The Most High he never had a New Testament, y'all. He always made a covenant. As I've been telling y'all, the fake New Testament. But y'all not going to hear me because y'all going to get in your feelings. That's fine, though. At this point, I don't care. Because I'm just here to tell the truth now. I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beast to cease out of the land. And they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the wilderness. Now, he's not talking about animals, y'all, because our land has been taken over by beasts. See, that's why they're under the Reconstruction. They moved the state of Israel over there to fool the world to believing that's the world, that's Israel. It's in America, y'all. I will make them and the places around about my hill a blessing. Where's that? Utah. Oh, y'all don't know? God's country? I will cause the shower to come down in its season, and there shall be a showers of blessing. And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am the Lord when I have broken the bands of their yoke and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. So basically, Israel right now is supposed to be in the bottom, and everybody's making money off of them, except the people who call themselves that today are running everything. They run your banks, sports teams, governments, everything. And that's not just talking about, I'm not lying. That's why they was able to take Jay-Z money. I mean, what's his name? Kanye's money from him. Because they controlled it all. If you was on the bottom, how are you going to take something from anybody? And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen. Neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. Is that what's going on in Israel today, y'all? No. Because it's not a fulfillment of prophecy. And I will raise up from them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore. Because right now, that's what's going on in America. We lost everything. But y'all don't believe it's the people in America, do y'all? I know you don't. Thus shall they know that I, the Lord their God, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, saith the Lord God. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, and men, and I am your God, saith the Lord God. Now let's go to Ezekiel 37. Let's see what Ezekiel 37 say. Okay? Because I don't know what these people are talking about, and I really don't care. I'm tired of the lies. The lies have got to stop. It's foolishness now. At this point, all these so-called biblical scholars, see that you see, they don't understand the word because they're not the people. That's why you can see I'm making it very clear and plain to you today. I'm going to start at verse 20. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thy hand before their eyes. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord God. Who's saying this? God, right? Not me, right? Behold, I will take the children of Israel. Who's going to take them? Is the United States going to take them? Is Germany going to take them? Are they going to get on planes? Are they going to be flown back under some campaign, bring the Jews home? No. Let's read it. Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. And one king, not two, shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. Is this going on right now since 1948? No. But I will save them out of their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So they shall be my people, and I will be their God. And who? And David, my servant, shall be king over them. Is David over there? Answer me. I can't hear you. Did he say Jesus? Did he say Zeus? Serapis? Mithra? No. He said David. And they shall all have one shepherd, and they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. Why? Because he's going to write his law on our hearts at this time. Did that happen already, y'all? Is the world at peace? How many wars since happened and still going on since they've been over there now? And the church, the Christian church, is going right along with all this foolishness, talking about, yes, it's been fulfilled. Yes, this is a fulfillment of prophecy. And all the Christians follow it, because my church did too. And now, because we were dumb then, because we just followed whatever the pastor said, and whatever they got the information, we just follow whatever they said. See, I wasn't reading, and most people in church don't read. They just, pick that Bible up once a Sunday, go whatever the pastor say, shake their head and say amen, stand up and sing some songs, pass the plate around. Y'all know how it is. Then after the Monday through Friday, y'all don't do nothing. Some of y'all go to Wednesday Bible study. But then again, you're only studying out the New Testament. I know, because I did it. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they, their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant. See, this is the covenant, the so-called New Testament that they said is hidden now. It did not happen yet. That's why there cannot be a New Testament, because the Most High never had a New Testament. He had a covenant with the chosen, his people, Israel. See? So you can't be following a New Testament. The Most High never had a testament. A testament is a will. After somebody dies, then a testament goes into effect. Okay? Y'all got that? A covenant is a contract. And if you break the contract, which we did, that's why the Most High has placed us on the bottom. Now listen to what he says. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. Is Most High sanctuary in the midst of Israel right now, y'all? No, it's not. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Now, why did he say this, y'all? Because the heathen has taken over the Most High's people, scattered them, and taken over their land. And the Most High prophesied this, as we're going to get into the book of Deuteronomy. Now, did David rise again? Did the Most High speak of that? Let's go to the prophet Jeremiah. I'm not going to do the full thing. Y'all watch the Messiah, okay? Because like I said, there's more chapters, verses that I do not do, that I could have given doing that. See if I can click it here to see if I can get it in. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 30. I'm going to give y'all a few. And each time you're going to see that Israel is not on top. Israel is on the bottom. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord saying, excuse me, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord saying, thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. Who's speaking this? The Most High. Who's writing it? Jeremiah. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord. I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. Who's going to do it? United States? The same people that took America? No. How about Britain? No. How about the European League of Nations? No. How about Germany? No. How about the Roman Catholic Church? No. He said he will. And they shall possess it. And these are the words, now he's going to tell you when. And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Why is this, y'all? At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Jacob is Israel. For it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck. Now we're going to show you who got the bonds and yoke on their neck when I get to Deuteronomy. Okay? Y'all keep that in your minds. And I will burst their bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Who in the earth today is being served? Who is the one on the bottom? Who the one do the work, get no recognition? Who is everybody making money off of? And yet they own nothing. They have no control of anything. Who is that? Is that the people that own the football teams? Is that the people that own the banks? Is that the people who sponsored the slave trades and stuff? I don't think so. But who is it? Let's keep reading. And will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve their Lord, their God, and David, their king, whom I will raise up unto them. The Most High is very clear. This is another prophet. So he's going to gather at this time. When these things take place, this is when these prophecies are supposed to take place, y'all. Not when man's supposed to. Not when Albert Pike says they're going to create a state of Israel in World War II. But it's going to take place when the Most High says it's going to take place. And that's why the people are questioning, I thought everything's going to be peace when it happened. Why is everything not working out like they said? Oh, was it just metaphors that we were reading? No. Because you can't make happen what the Most High says is going to happen. You can't make it happen yourself. But that's what they went and did. And it's picked the wrong people. And the world is following. And then when somebody speaks the truth, they want to shut you down. But when you're reading the book, it's clear. Who are these people for real? Who got their land taken? Who don't even know who they are today? For it shall come to pass. In that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Why does he keep saying that? But they shall serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear not, O my servant Jacob, said the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee. What is he going to do to them? Make an end of them, because he's going to set up a new earth and a new kingdom. Yet I will not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and I will not leave thee altogether unpunished. For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. Is that what that's going on with us now? All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy. Now, who put us in this predicament, as he said in Deuteronomy he would? The Most High said he's going to put his people on the bottom with the chastisement of a cruel one for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. That's why he did it. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thine sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. That's why he did it. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. So all the people that's getting away with this stuff right now, the fog is coming back, as I said in the last video. The fog coming back on you. You may be having fun today. People portraying themselves to be the Most High people, but are not. The fog is coming to get you. All thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil. And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of all thy wounds, said the Lord. This didn't happen yet. So that is not a fulfillment of prophecy that's going on right now, y'all. Because his people are still on the bottom. And they're still scattered. And the people have taken over their land and own everything on top of them. Thus said the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob, tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places. And the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. Ain't they called a minority right now, y'all? Hmm? I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. Y'all don't want to hear this. And their nobles shall be of themselves. See, see, who are the people? Who are the people in the earth? That was the stock market is in, y'all. Who was the people in the earth today that don't have nobles of themselves? Hmm? Don't the wish people got nobles of themselves today? Yes, they do. So who don't have nobles of themselves? And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governors shall proceed from the midst of them. I mean, from their own people, right? Because they on the bottom right now. We're not running nothing. And I will cause him to draw near. Oh, you got black governors, right? African American governors. They ain't running nothing. They ain't a bunch of puppets. They can't do nothing. And it's not their government that they're running. So let's get that straight. Their governors, their government, they don't have a government. I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is it that engaged in his heart to approach unto me, saith the Lord? And ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. Now, how many times do you got to say that? And ye shall be my people, I will be your God. Behold, the whirlwind of the Lord goeth with fury, forth with fury, and continuing whirlwind. And it shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of the Lord shall not return until he had done it, until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it. This gonna happen in the end times. The latter days. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2. Now, if y'all familiar with Daniel chapter 2, I'm not gonna read the whole chapter, right? Daniel chapter 2, it talks about the four kingdoms, the four beasts, the four kingdoms that's gonna come up on the earth, right? Y'all know Nebuchadnezzar was gold, the next one down was silver, and the next one was, brass and iron, and then the last kingdom is iron and clay. So I'm just gonna skip it down. And Daniel had a vision about the four world systems that was going to take place in the earth, because the Most High gave him a vision what was going to take place in the future. And this for y'all to know, don't y'all know we in the so-called fourth industrial revolution? Think about that. So here it is. I'm just gonna pick it up. I'm gonna pick it up down here somewhere. I want y'all to see something. All right. Let's say, so I start at verse 36. So this is the dream, and we would tell thee the interpretation thereof before the king. So again, Nebuchadnezzar had this dream, and he wanted somebody to tell him about the dream. And now Daniel is going to tell him, thou, O king, art king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power and strength and glory. And whosoever and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. So this is that statue, and he is the first kingdom, the head of gold. After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee. Now notice, the first kingdom was great, and the next kingdom was inferior. And you keep going down in years, it's going to be less and less inferior. And that's why you see the ancient technology out there. You see like pyramids and things of that nature. Back in the day, they had real technology, but they still can't figure out today, right? But they want you to tell us that we just came from, it was some cavemen beating on some rocks or something, and they done made these pyramids with precision cuts and everything. They huge cities out of stone, out of mountains and whatnot. But they want you to believe that we're more advanced today. See, that's what a lot of this so-called masonry, 33rd degree and all this kind of stuff is, and these secret societies, because they know the truth for real. They don't want you to know that. But if you got logic and you can look at the stuff and see, you got to obviously see, look at the world and see that it was more advanced at one point in time before. But they want to act like everything is new to you. But you got to be smarter than that. All right, let's keep going. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field. Okay, he told him he was the head of gold. Verse 39. And after these shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and a third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh into pieces and subdue all things, as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, like we are today. But there shall be in it of strength and of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were upon part of iron and part of clay, so that the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. They say, well, we in the Iron Age or something. They say that too, right? And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. You saw the mixing that's going on today, y'all? I read that one more time. Then they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom. Now, why? Now, why am I saying this? Because this is where we are right now today. We are living in that fourth beast, that fourth kingdom, right before the Most High comes back. And that's why this word is going out so strong, because we are right here close to the time. And they know, everybody keeps saying there's something going on in the world. UFOs, things are happening, Space Force, time is up, whatever, right? Everybody feel like there's something happening here. Because it's possibly that their time could be close to being up. The fog is coming back. And in the days of the kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. See, who's going to be left to then? But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So the Most High is going to come up, destroy all the kingdoms on the earth, and he gonna come in the last kingdom, which we're about to see. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God of heaven made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshiped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of truth it is that your God is God of gods, and Lord of lords, Lord of kings, and revealer of secrets, seeing that thou couldst reveal this secret. Then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him great gifts, and made him ruler over whole province of Babylon, chief of governors over all the wise men of Babylon. So I want y'all to see, as right here, for as much as thou sawest the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, that it break the pieces, that it pieces of the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the greater God that have made known to the king, which shall come hereafter. So for what he did when he came down, the Most High come, he smoked the beast, or this statue. He smote it on the feet with the iron and clay. And when he hit it, when the Most High came down and hit that stone, hit that on the bottom, the whole thing came crumbling down. That means all the kingdoms of the world can come down. And that fourth kingdom is going to have all of the four kingdoms, the three kingdoms above it. It's going to have all mixtures of all that inside of it. And that's when the Most High is going to come back. And he didn't say Jesus, did he? And then once he smote it and destroy it, then he going to set up his kingdom for everlasting. Right? And that's what the Most High said. All right? So y'all see that. So these people that are telling you false prophecies, trying to add the New Testament in here, right, is a bunch of foolishness. And now here's Isaiah. You hear what Jeremiah just said, right? Now we're gonna see what Isaiah said about the people that spoiled you. That spoiled you. You're gonna be able to spoil them back. He gonna make, if you oppressed you, then you're gonna become their oppressors, right? He said that in Jeremiah. Now look what Isaiah says: "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Who are these strangers? "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, from thy fear, from their hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve." Now, so who's doing that today, y'all? Who's doing all this hard bondage and serving today? See, they want you to know who the true people of Israel are. But now we're about to go to Deuteronomy, and I'm gonna show you. All right, y'all. So I'm in Deuteronomy 28. And so I'm gonna show y'all. So it shall come to pass, thou shalt have hearkened diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Verse 1, to observe and do all his commandments, which I commanded this day, then the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So I'm gonna just tell y'all. I'm not gonna read it. Y'all can read Deuteronomy 28 yourself, right? So the first 15 verses, 14 verses, it tells you all the blessings. See, blessed shalt thou be in the store. Verse 5, blessed shalt thou be when thou comest into the blessed comest in, blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out, right? So it's nothing but blessings all day long if Israel would have followed what he said. So we already know now through history that that's not what happened, right? We already know the truth now, so we already beyond this. And he told you after verse 15, right? Verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Curses shalt thou be in the city, curses shalt thou be in the field. Curses shalt thou basket in thy store, curses shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flock of thy sheep. Right? The Lord shall send upon thee cursings, vexations, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hand unto do, until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. So he said, because we forsook him, right? I'm just skipping down some. And thy heaven that is over thee, thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thy feet shall be iron. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. Right? The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And that's not what happened here. Then we just read some of that. They're fleeing, the enemies coming in there, the mobs coming in, taking them, running out their homes. And they've been moved out of this country into all scattered in all the kingdoms of the earth. That happened from here. That happened from America. That slave story was told in reverse. They were shipping people out of here to England, to the islands, to Africa. They were shipping people everywhere out of America. That's what people don't understand. Everything that y'all been told is a lie. And thy carcass shall be meat unto the fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Now remember, what we just read, I just read an article in the last video where they said that they were running in the woods, and they said before they asked them, they don't know how many people they killed. And they said because before they can get to the bodies, the buzzards are already at the bodies, eating the flesh of the people. And if go back and watch the last video, it was just in there because the guy was just talking about it in one of the articles, that sheriff. The Lord shall smite thee with blindness and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Who's this talking about? Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from thee before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Wow. You know what? When I sit there now, and when you compare the video I just went over, and this was going on the whole time. It wasn't just going on from Reconstruction in 1871 until then. This was going on and all across the country until now, to the point where we are now. This is amazing. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall another nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be oppressed and crushed always. This is exactly what just happened here. Please go back and watch that last video. They came in mobs and took over all their land, all the trees, all the fruit. They took over everything. And now we are only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be made mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. You're going to be mad. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. To me, that's that Christian cross and that Mecca stone. Those are the two main ones. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whither thou, Lord, leadest thee. So he said he's going to make you a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. That means you're going to become scornful. You are scorned now for wherever you are. So no matter where you go, you basically on the bottom. Thou shalt carry much seed out of the field and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shall not drink their wine, because you're going to be the person working in the field, nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All thy trees and thy fruit of thy land shall the locusts consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So you're going to be on the bottom, right? He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Basically, you own no banks. You have nobody to lend. You got one bank here. That's it. But you're in the country, the land where you were, that we had, that we owned, that was ours. Now we don't have nothing. You try to tell me, well, I got a black bank, right? The stranger that comes in here, that means all the immigrants that's coming to this land is coming above us very high, and now we're on the bottom. All the immigrants are coming in here, they're the strangers, and we on the bottom in your own country. Tell me this is not true. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And listen, and they shall be upon thee for a sign, and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So these things, and that's why the Most High said, until he comes back, he's going to set things right when he gets back. Because these things, because right now Israel is on the bottom. The nations are serving themselves on them. They're being oppressed. Is this not fact? So why is it so hard to see? How can you call other people the Hebrew Israelites when the Bible tells you exactly who they are? It's very clear. These signs are going to be upon them forever. You can't get over this one. And we just went over a sign. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore thou shalt serve whom? Thine enemies, not friends, enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. They came into all of America. The Spanish, the French, the English, the Dutch, they came in everywhere, taking over the land, renaming everything, and took over the people and reclassified them from colored, black, Negro, all the way to Indian. All these names were given. And now nobody knows who they are. And it's a conspiracy. It's a Confederate. Hold this part right here. Let me show y'all something. Go to Psalms, chapter 83. Listen what this says. Keep not silence, O God. Hold not the peace and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a torment, a loud noise. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. And what did they do? They created their own Israel. They created their own Indians, didn't they? Totally cut us off from knowing who we are. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And it names all the kingdoms below it. These people exist in the earth today. Edom, so when you really understand the scriptures, then you know what you're talking about. Y'all want to see something else? Let me show y'all something else about the Most High's people. Hold on. All right, y'all. So we're in Isaiah chapter 3. And let's just see what the Most High say about his people. He giving you all kind of clues throughout the book who his people are. But this is why they want to keep you in the New Testament, so you'll never know the truth. So let's read this, Isaiah chapter 3. For behold, the Lord of hosts, does take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the whole stay of water. The mighty man, he took away the mighty man, and the man of war, the judge, and the prophet, and the prudent, and the ancient. That means the older man, right? The captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer. That means somebody who's good in crafting and making arts and stuff like crafting gold and silver or whatever. They're gone. And the eloquent or orator. That means the person who speak well. He took it all away. Look what he says. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another. Huh? Everyone by his neighbor. What does that sound like today, y'all? Don't that sound like the hood? They ain't got no captains. We ain't got no men of 50 mighty men. We got no judges. We got nothing. I will give children to be their princes, and their babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient. That means against the older your old folk. And the base against the honorable. See that? And the least going to act better, going to be going up against the honorable people. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer. For in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. They show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. See, who did it? Ourselves. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their own doings. And that's what we're doing right now. Woe unto the wicked. It shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors. Who's running in the streets right now? Huh? And women rule over them. Stop right there. Where's the baby's daddy? It's the baby's mama. Ain't that what's going on right now? Women raising these boys up, the man ain't there. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Who is that talking about? Y'all know. That's why they didn't want y'all to read this part of the book. Is this the people that's running the world? The people that in the land of Israel today? No. Has anything I read so far them? No. Oh, my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy past. That's right. The people who lead us today, they causing our people to err, because we're not following the truth. And that's why this is a truth-seeking network, because we're bringing you to the root. The Lord standeth to plead and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten of the vineyard and despoiled the poor in your houses. What mean ye? that ye beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, said the Lord of God of hosts. Moreover, the Lord said, behold, the daughters of Zion are haughty, talking about our women now, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanting eyes, walking and missing as they go. Oh, they I guess they switching. We call switching. And making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite the scab of their crown of their head of the daughters of Zion. And the Lord will discover their secret part. He's going to smite the scab of their head. So let me ask y'all a question. Who's going to win buying all the weave? The daughters of Zion. Who's making money or serving themselves of the people who need hair or putting hair on their head from other nations? And y'all know the Asians and everybody running the hair stores. But he said he's going to smite the scab of your head. So the Most High is giving you signs of the people who he's talking about. And right now, that hair business is huge. And y'all know how the women be walking and switching, sticking their necks out with their little wanting eyes. Y'all know how they do? All the men are messed up. And the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery and their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their round ties like the moon, the chains and their bracelets and their mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels. Now, who wore nose jewels, y'all? What people earrings and nose jewels? Their changeable suits of apparel, and their mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses, the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink, instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of a well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, girding of sackcloth and burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty men in war. And all her gates shall lament and mourn, and shall be desolate, and shall be desolate, shall sit upon the ground. This is the Most High's people. And this is true. Isn't it? Y'all know. I'm just laying it out there. Yep, I'm just putting it out there for y'all to see it. Okay. All right. I'm back in Deuteronomy. I just wanted y'all to check that out so y'all can see that. Now I'm back at verse 48. Therefore, shalt thou, this is Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore, thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he had destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar. Now, when did these people come to America? From afar. They came across the waters from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Now, what is their national bird? The eagle. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And we didn't understand their tongue when they got here. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. They didn't care about and what happened on the Devil's Punch Bowl? They killed the men, women, and the children. They used to feed babies to alligators. All this is true. And a lot of more atrocities. They didn't have no regard of the people, period. Came and took their lands. shot him down like nothing. And then said, okay, then just went and moved into the house. Then flooded it out later on, and the government paid him. Okay? Now, he shall put a yoke of iron around your neck. So let's go to Google together, and let's type that in. Now, you notice that all those other, and those are the other scriptures I wrote, and he said, break their yoke. It talked about breaking the yoke or that bond off of them, the yoke off of their neck, right? So this is not the only scripture that says that. So let's type this into Google together. Yoke of iron around neck. Yoke of iron upon thy neck. Let's click the. Look what y'all see? Anybody see the pictures that they came up with? Did I do that? Or did I just type in it and just hit enter? Let's look at images. Who did that happen to? See? Yokes of iron on an Israelite's neck. The real Israelites are black. But what land did this happen in, y'all? This happened in America, didn't it? And they told you they took us from Africa on the slave trade. But I already showed y'all in my past video already. That wasn't true. No, they put these yokes of iron on our necks over here. They didn't take us and put us on a ship and drag us over here. They were shipping us out of here. They were moving us to Oklahoma. They were moving in more immigrants or Europeans were coming in. They were moving us out. We've been subjugated in our own land. We've been misnamed in our own land. Then they got another Israel they can raid it over there, and they get it to other people, and they got the Indians to other people. And we're just black or colored or African Americans now. We got a new name. And they are confederate against you to make Israel not a name among people anymore. And what they did, they created their own. I started this video with Albert Pike because that was one of the things they wanted to do in World War II. He was the head of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was part of the anti-black movement. Now, why would he say the anti-Indian movement if Indian people were in America? Why didn't he say that then? People that look like Tonto on the Lone Rangers. Why didn't he say that? So all that did is type in yoke of iron around neck, and look what pops up. And this happened in America. Look at this. They took over people's lands, and you're still not getting justice today. Am I being racist again? No. Am I showing you the truth? Yes. Am I showing you with the scriptures? Truth. Is this my interpretation? No. All right, everybody. So y'all see what I got on my screen, right? Y'all see what I got on my screen, right? It says, Hitler's secret quote claiming Negroes are the real Jews, right? Now, what I tried to do, I'm in DuckDuckGo. I tried to go to Google and Google as soon as I went into Google, fact check. There's a false statement, fact check. I mean, I didn't ask for a fact checker. And like I said, I don't trust the fact checkers anyway. I don't listen to the fact checkers because somebody need to fact check the fact checkers. They get on your freaking nerves. So I just typed in, what did Hitler say about the Negroes? And in Google, I couldn't find any, people were talking about it, but it was like fact check, fact check. But I want to show y'all something. Obviously, Hitler knew something, okay? Because the fact check is the truth. Now we're going to read what he says here, right? The questions that somebody asked him and what it was said to him. So y'all pay attention. Hitler said even in his death, he would start World War III. One of his soldiers asked how. Hitler replied, "The day mankind finds out what I was trying to defend this nation, Germany, from, then that's the day World War III will start. For on that day, mankind will learn that I was trying to save my nation from the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Jews. For if the Americans wins the war, then they will conquer the world and forever be a slave to the Jews, and they will try to conquer God. Do you know who America has in its possession?" Now, I'm sorry to say, y'all, but y'all hear everything we just read? Is that not true today? Don't call me nothing against Hitler because I don't know nothing about the man. I'm just telling you the words. I'm reading the words off the page. Because according to the words, what he said, don't they try to rule the world? The Illuminati, the Freemasons, and the Jews? I mean, let's get real. For if the American wins the war, they will conquer the world and forever be a slave to the Jews, and they will try to conquer God. Do you know who America has in its possession? No, the soldier replied. The Americans have the jewels of God. The Americans have stolen God's precious jewels. Now, if y'all watched all the videos that I've done, and based on the Bible and history, what I proved, so far this seems to be correct. What do you mean? His precious jewels, the soldier asked. Hitler said America has stolen the Jews of God, his jewelry, the Negroes. They are the true Hebrews. What a foolish move and a direct challenge to God. They plan on moving these false white Jews into a state of Israel. Good googly woogly. Are y'all hearing this? Isn't that what Albert Pike said? And didn't they do that? Oh, man. But when you check the fact checkers say that this is lies. But do you know that the so-called Negroes are the true Hebrews? That's true. Oh my God. I just read y'all Deuteronomy 28. Isaiah chapter 11. Excuse me, chapter 3. Deuteronomy 32. We just showed y'all about serving themselves of them. Now, if you follow the prophecies of Deuteronomy 28, what would happen to him, what the Most High said was going to happen to his people, and you're seeing what he wrote, this is not false. Oh my God. See, I've seen this letter a long time ago, but I've never seen it in the light before, because after all the information that I've learned, that I've gathered, that I've researched, now I'm reading it again. I didn't see nothing false so far, he said. America is desperate America is desperate in its attempt to win this war using atom bombs on Japan. America would destroy the whole world in its attempt to conquer it. When America and its Jewish slave masters conquered the world and the world realized I was right, then all nations will begin a third world war to dethrone America of its rule. Every nation will soon possess atom bombs of their own, and it will be the end of the most of the world as we know it. Why will the Jews control America? The soldier asked. Hitler said because the white Jews knows that the Negroes are the real children of Israel. Oh my God. And to keep America's secret, the Jews will blackmail America. The Jews will extort America. Their plan for world domination won't work if the Negroes knew who they were. The white citizens of America will be terrified to know that all this time they've been mistreating and discriminating and lynching the children of Israel. They will fear God will destroy them as he destroyed Egypt for doing the same thing. So the elite and the Illuminati keeps this secret at all costs. After I die, I will one day cause World War III just by this message, which will be like planting a seed in a people's minds until it sprouts once they nurture that seed and seek more truth and learn Hitler was right. I did the world a favor by killing a false Jews before they designated a false state of Israel. But I fear I have failed. The world will fall into the hands of Satan. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. And that's the brothers on the street corners telling you they're the Hebrew Israelites. But according to the scriptures, the only people that fit the true scripture of a Hebrew, that's why I said I don't understand how can the world go on as it is when all they got to do is just read the book. The book right there. It tells you who are the true Israel, the true children of Israel are. The Hebrews are. The book tells you directly. And see, this is deep because I went over, man, this is deep. That's all I can say. I hope y'all seeing this, what he supposedly wrote. Okay? And I just read it over to y'all. That's all I did was read what was written. So don't say I'm anti this or anti that. I'm just reading what it says. But the truth of the matter is, when you read the Bible, compare it with what he's saying, they have taken over. America has taken over the Jews of God. And you're going to see the video that's going to be played in this where Moses is buried. Okay? So I just thought this letter was profound. And I just thought something that y'all need to see. I don't care what the fact checker said, did he say this or not, because I'm going to tell you something. When you go back and read the information, and I dare anybody to read the information and go compare what he just said, is it not the truth, though? What's going to happen when they find out that that's exactly who we are? We're not only indigenous to the Americas, we are the children of Israel. One and the same. And our lands were stolen, as in Deuteronomy 28 says, in the yoke of iron around our neck. Go look up, just put it in the book. You'll see what you can put it in Google and see who they're talking about. Are y'all gonna wake up? Is the world gonna wake up? Are the Gentiles gonna wake up? Because the Most High said, those that oppressed his people will be oppressed. Like I told y'all, the fog is coming back. So this is to enlighten and wake up everybody. A day of reckoning is coming. And if I was you, I would want to be on the Most High good side. So if you know you can do right by the people and treat the people right, then do right. Wow, this letter right here is amazing. Hitler said, because the white Jews know that the Negroes are the real children of Israel, and to keep America's secret, the Jews will blackmail America. The Jews will extort America. Their plan for the world domination won't work if the Negroes knew who they were. So that's why they keep changing our names. Black, colored, Negro. And now, and you think about it, we the only people probably in the world whose names keep changing. And now we are two continents, African, American. Well, fact checkers, if you check your biblical facts, if you check historical facts, you will find out some of the things he just said was actually on point. So I don't know what fact check you fact checking. Do not the Freemasons rule the world today? That's true. Do not. Who's everybody talking about today? The Illuminati. Is that right? Who runs all the sports teams, Wall Street, and everything else? The next name. So I don't know what to tell y'all, but this is all true. That part is true. What's the next part? They stolen the precious jewels of God. The Americans, they're not Americans because they came from other nations, right? He said the Americans have stolen the God's precious jewels because America was here before they got here, right? So it's more like the United States stole, the corporations stole the jewels. People always ask, how come the United States is not in the Bible? How come America, America has been in the Bible has been America the whole time. They have reclassified the world and removed everything around to make you believe that it was somewhere else. All right, y'all. This is powerful. Let's get back to Deuteronomy 28. So this scripture is showing you, y'all, what happened in real history. Okay? These are all past events now, and it's still ongoing. But I'm just showing you what happened in history. So the Lord shall bring again a nation against thee from afar, from the far end of the earth. Where they came from, the other side of the earth. Now, how prophetic is this? That happened to the Americas, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard a person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat up the fruit of thy cattle. And y'all did. And the fruit of thy land. And they are, until thou be destroyed. And we are. Which also shall not leave thee corn. And where's corn grown at, y'all? What continent grew corn? Y'all don't know? You better ask somebody. That's the Americas. That's right. Wine and oil, or their increase of thy kind, or flocks and sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And ye shall be besieged thee in all thy gates. And they came from everywhere. The Spanish, the French, the Dutch, the Germans, everybody came here. Until thy high fence and high walls come down, wherein thou trusted throughout all thy land, and ye shall besiege thee in thy gates, and throughout thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, and the flesh of thy sons and thy daughters, which the Lord hath given unto thee in the siege, and the straitness wherein thy enemies shall distress thee. So we are totally destroyed now. I mean, it was terrible. And I heard the parts that they were eating their own kids because they were so stressed. The tender and delicate woman among you, which will not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. See, we used to be sweet and gentle people toward each other. Now, and toward her young, one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things, secretly in the siege and straitness wherein thy enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Y'all talking about the greatest Holocaust that ever happened here. And that's why, how many times have we read over there? And I didn't do near the amount of stories, near the amount that's for real. Because it'll take all year to put all this stuff in the video and try to present it. It took hours just to get that done. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, thou shalt mayest fear the glorious fearful name of the Lord thy God. Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and thy plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and long continuance, and sore sickness, and long continuance. Moreover, he shall bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, and that thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. And they always try to say, yeah, we the sickest people in the planet. We all got this disease. African Americans got they got the highest rate of this. African Americans got the heart disease. African Americans got the highest rate of diabetes. African American, I mean, you get sick of it. Also, every sickness and every plague which is written out in this book of the law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And as ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And now, like I said, we call the minority. And it shall come to pass, as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. That's why y'all worshiping Jesus Christ and y'all worshiping these Muslim Christians. And both things were created by the same people. Y'all out here worshiping the Muslim religion and y'all worshiping Christianity. And y'all know good and well that we supposed to be talking about the Most High. They talking about, our people always talking about the one spirit, not the three, not the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, but our people always talk about that one spirit that we follow, the one spirit. And that's why I don't want to use the name Yahweh, Yahuwah, or any of those names. I know I said it in other videos, but the truth is, I don't trust the people that they give us the right name in the book. So I prefer to use the name the Most High or the Ancient of Days, right? I prefer to use something like that. So when I talk about the Most High, that's why you hear me saying the Most High all the time. Because you can't trust the people. Remember, the witch people, they're the ones that took his name out the book, not the Hebrews. These are the Hebrews we're reading about now. Among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. And that's how it is. That's the way it is. No ease. In the morning thou shalt say, would God were the evening, and at evening thou shalt say, would God were it morning. For the fear of thine heart, whither thou shalt fear, for the sight of thine eyes, and thou shalt see. Because all the things that's going on, all the murders, the lynchings, and things. I mean, you got to think about to where we are today. And he said he's gonna put a yoke of iron until he have destroyed thee like a dog. Now our people have been brainwashed. So now you're gonna let them go now. Our people are following Jesus. They following all kind of stuff. Our people are so messed up today. It's ridiculous. And you can't tell them nothing. They only care about sports, football, and silly things. I'm black. I'm African American. What are you talking about? Y'all don't even have a clue. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And a lot of people say that's bondage again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies as bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, or that means shall save you. So we were actually put on ships out of America and sent to other places. Not no big old cargo slave ships. And let me tell you something. You think they still not doing this stuff now? They kidnapping children right now. They're not talking about the people that's missing. And they selling them still. You think this stuff is not going on right now? People think that's over. They still doing that today. Yep. So this is where we are. And so this chapter right here identifies who the true Israelites are. And all these things are be going on, as I read to the other scriptures, it's going to be going on until the Most High comes back. Because he said these things are going to be upon your seed, his seed forever. This sign. So these things are going to be happening to him because, so now it's already been taking place. It's over. So, the Most High keeps his word. He don't change now. So once he said it was going to happen, it's going to happen. Look at verse 46 again. And they shall be upon thy seed, upon thee for a sign. See, a sign. A sign is for everybody to see. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot, you got them Christians. You look just like the people that said in the book. So you can put this on certain people. You can't put this on everybody. And a wonder. It's going to be for a sign and a wonder upon thy seed or your offspring forever. And this is what's going on. And people don't get that. Oh, the Old Testament is old. It's done away with. That stuff is old. When this Deuteronomy 32, when the Most High divided up to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob the lot of his inheritance. So the Most High's people is Israel, or the Israelites, or the Hebrews. He found them in the desert land and in the wasteland of the wilderness. He led them by the instructed to him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. So he be the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings. So the Lord alone, the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him. Y'all hear that? There was no strange God with him. God did it. The Most High did it by himself, the one Spirit. Oh, Jesus was with him. He made him ride on high places of the earth that he might eat the increase of the fields. He made him to suck honey out of the rock and the oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and the rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats of the fat of kidneys of wheat. Thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape. See, talking about grape juice. But Jeshurun, which is Israel, waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God, which made him. Talking about the whole nation of Israel, y'all. See, that's why I told y'all, if y'all don't know to read the Old Testament, y'all would think it's talking about one person. No, the him is talking about the whole nation of Israel. And lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. See, they provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that newly came up, like Jesus. Well, they didn't know Jesus back then either. Whom your fathers feared not. But Jesus is the new God today, y'all. Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten God that formed thee. And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. You see, it's talking about the whole nation. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward generation, children in whom there is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. I'm going to read that again. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. Now, why did he say that? Are the people a people? Or they are a type of man? I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. And don't you know, that's where we are today. So the Most High said they're not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. So I looked up Neanderthal and I looked up all this other stuff, and I come to find out, y'all can look this information. I'm not going to do it in this video. And I just found out a whole bunch of information that blew me away. Y'all go look at the information for yourselves about Neanderthal and about who is real people and who's not and all that kind of stuff, what they find. I'm not going to put it in this video, but y'all can look it up yourselves. If you really care to, do it yourself. I gave you something to go on, and I didn't write this. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell. See, and to me, and that's how you can't be a people if you can go around and just shoot people and slaughter people like that. And you can come into somebody's land, take over their stuff, and don't even think. It don't even bother you at all that you just slaughtered all these people to take over their stuff. How you do that? How can you do something like that? I mean, even today, to the fact that you gave us Jesus, y'all know Jesus is false, but they're not going to tell you all that. I'm showing you in these videos and stuff that it's true. And they gave this thing to everybody, and they got these churches in every corner. People are praising and jumping up and down, singing these names about Jesus, 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 and all day long. And people putting their money in the plate, right? They purposely misclassified you as something else, and they pushing it all over the place and don't want you to tell the truth about it. You can't be a people to do that to people and then just move on like everything's okay. You can't be. You evil. You got to be evil. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn to the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischief. See what he said he's going to do to us. I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger and devoured with burning heat and with bitter destruction. And I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them. with the poison of serpents of the dust. Now these beasts, he's talking about these other nations. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man, the virgin. Now again, that virgin is talking about the young women, the suckling, also the man of gray hairs. And that's exactly what's going on. The terror. He sent that. The Most High put us in this predicament. I said I would scatter them into the corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. And that's why people call us black, colored, Negro, everything else. But the time is winding down. And he gave certain of us issues to understand this word so we can wake up the people and spread it, as I'm doing right now. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord hath not done this, all this. See? And that's what these people are thinking. They think they did it. No, I want y'all to understand something. All of y'all that took over the land, all of y'all people that's in charge right now, the Most High just told y'all, y'all don't think y'all did this and had the power to do this. He did this to us. He gave y'all the power to conquer us right now. But it's not over yet. I hope y'all understand that. Don't go around with your arrogancy thinking you defeated, because you didn't do it. You didn't have the power to defeat us. We defeated ourselves. And that's why the Most High gave us over, because we did not obey him. The Most High did this to us. But just like he also said he's going to redeem us. See, we know who we are. We don't need the Catholic Church, the Roman Church, or the Baptist Church, or the Presbyterians, or the scholars, or anybody else, the theologians. We don't need none of you. Because we get it direct from the Most High. That's how come we're able to do what we do. And you can't go against his words. For they are a nation of void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them? The Lord had shut them out. And that's what you see. Two little cops come out there. Two cops. We got 10,000 people standing around. And you'll watch two white cops coming in and start beating up somebody, and everybody just standing around looking. Shameful. For their rock is not our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is the vine of Sodom and the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall, and their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons, and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For the Lord shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants, when he seeth that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. See? And he gonna repent, he gonna judge his people, but he gonna repent himself for his servants. He said, Israel is my servant. And thus he have a special group of people he called. And he shall say, where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted, which they eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. That's what the Most High say. And don't y'all take that communion right now in church? Don't y'all drink y'all wine offerings and drink offerings? Huh? That's y'all know that's a ritual, don't y'all? Eat my body. This is my body. This is take the blood. This is the blood. This is my blood. Drink in remembrance of me. That's a ritual. But the Most High said, which they eat the fat of their sacrifices. He said, and he shall say, where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted, which they eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings. Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. See now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. But I thought in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Huh? What's that all about? I kill, I make alive, I wound, I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. See, the Most High never died on the cross. There was no strange God with him. He told you that over and over again. But they don't believe it. They're going to still be filling up the churches on Sunday. Knowing good and well, there ain't no such thing in the word Sunday in the Bible. Sabbath all day long, but you going to church on Sunday. Anyway, if I whip my glittering sword in my hand, take hold on my judgment, I will render vengeance to mine enemies, and I will reward them that hate me. And that's what he's going to do. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and I will render vengeance to his adversaries, and I will be merciful unto his land and to his people. And Moses came and spake all these words, this song, in the ears of the people, he and Hoshea, the son of Nun. And Moses made an end of all the speaking and the words of all Israel. And he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which ye shall command your children to observe to do all the words of this law. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And through this thing ye shall prolong your days in the land, whether ye go to Jordan to possess it. And the Lord spake unto Moses at the selfsame day, get ye thee up into this mountain, Abraham, unto Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho. And behold, the land Canaan, which I gave it unto the children of Israel for possession. Now, y'all, where is this land? Y'all see the names we just read, right? Now, I'm going to take y'all. I told y'all earlier in the video that the Israel, the true place, Israel, first of all, Israel is not a land, y'all. Israel is a people. It's the 12 tribes. That's what Israel is. It's people. It's not a land. See, that's what they messed up too at. But now I'm going to show y'all a video. And this is from the 432 drop. These brothers, is the Lex Will, Karimio Ahu. I want y'all to show this video. Deuteronomy chapter 34. And we're going to see where this place is taking place at. I'm going to read first. This is Deuteronomy 34. And this is where Moses was supposed to go up and die. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountains of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and the land of Judah, unto the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of the palm trees of Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, this is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it to thee. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. All right, I'm gonna stop right there. Now I want y'all to check out this video. Okay, I want y'all to show it again. Thanks to the 432 drop. So that's what. So what I'm gonna say too. So when I talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they said that the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in. They said the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found over there in 1947, between 1946 and 1947, over in the Palestine area. See, I don't. To me, I don't think they got those scrolls from there. I think they were placed there. Now that's my conspiracy. Okay, if y'all want to call it that. I think they came from the Americas and they placed them over there and try to make it like those people are the, so they can put those people in the land based on what Albert Pike said. That's my opinion. Okay, that's what I see. I never did buy the story. The shepherd throwing some rocks in the cave and hear some glass jars break and they selling these pieces to the other, these dealers saw and they wanted to buy it and all that stuff. I don't buy that story. To me, that was a story, a created story. So they can sell the whole fact that that's what they think where these people came from. So they can place them in the land, as Albert Pike said in 1871. But I want y'all to listen to this. This is Moses. And let's see if Moses was buried in Utah of the United States. Excuse me, of the Americas. The United States is a new thing. So let's just pay attention to this. And like shout out to the 432 drop, Lex Will, Camario, Ahu, and all the brothers out here who putting out this truth, right? They're exposing it. And y'all seeing what America is, that promised land. Y'all get to see it for yourselves. So watch this.
And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, unto the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, and the city of palm trees unto Zor. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swore unto Abraham, unto Isaac, unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord, and he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knows of his sepulchre unto this day. Nobody knows where he's at. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. Okay, family, let's do it. Follow me. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo. You got Google Earth? Get with it, or you will get left off. All right, let's go punch in here. Let's just start this off right. Go to Moab. It already knows what I want. It already know what I want. Moab, you talk. Go to Moab. We're going to Moab. We're going to Moab. We're going to Moab. Stop right there. Stop right there. Let's back it up. Okay, family, you see that? We are in the United States Corporation. This is Utah. This is Moab. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo. Moab. You think I'm tripping? All right. And you already know, man. Shout out to that King Lex Will, who sent me on a scavenger hunt. So I'm bringing it to you. Also, shout out to Let Us Find the Truth. You know what I'm saying? Always good get tremendous information from that brother. The whole Columbus drop, you know what I'm saying, straight from that brother. So I definitely want to give the brother his credit. Let us find the truth. And yeah, I mean, let's just do this quickly before my phone goes out here. Let's just go quick. All right. Follow me. Moab, Utah. What's next? Mountain of Nebo. Let's go there. Mount Nebo. Utah County. Where you gonna take me? Where do you want to take me, Google Earth? He's taking me nowhere. The machine took me nowhere. Look at this. Remember, you're still in Utah. Did we go somewhere, family? No. Mount Nebo, Utah. Just like Lex Will has said, and I just want to give that brother credit for that, man. He's been on it. And, you know, you got to give love, man, when the family is leading you down a path of salvation. Chew the meat, spit out the bones, man. Y'all get over it. Stop being petty. We got to understand. This is true. This is real. Let's all focus. Focus, focus. Mount Nebo, Utah. What's next? I mean, come on. To the top of Pisgah. Come on, it can't be Pisgah, Utah, right? It can't be no Pisgah in Utah. Let's check it out. I'm going. You're doing this with me, I hope. You know, you got Google Earth on your phone. Go Pisgah, Pisgah, Utah. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, I gotta put in Mount Pisgah. Excuse the heck out of me. Let's go back. Just trying to jam us up. Can't let them jam us up, man. They want to see Mount Pisgah in Utah. Oh, snap. They're trying to mess with us. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Pisgah, Pisgah, Pisgah. Mount Pisgah Cat. Mount, where we at? Mount Pisgah. You see that? Ketch County, Utah. Look how they try to confuse us. And did we go anywhere? Let's back up a little bit so we can get our orientation. See that we're still in Utah, Mount Pisgah. Let's back it up a little bit. You know, let y'all know I'm not tricking you. Oh, that's Salt Lake City. Here we go. Mount Pisgah. Pisgah. Here we go. Salt Lake City. All right. Sorry, I'm going too close to the. There we go. That's a little close. Mount Pisgah, Salt Lake City. What else do we have? We're still in Utah, right? Okay, Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Nebo and to Pisgah. It's over against Jericho. Let's go fast here. Because you already know I'm getting there. Jericho, Jericho, where are you? Please don't tell me you are in the U. How? I mean, my mind was blasted last night, though. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. It's crazy. Jericho. We didn't go nowhere. We're still in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Let's back up so we understand where we're at. All right, this is Utah. All right. Come on now. Come on now, Jericho. Come on now. Come on. Where you at? Don't play. Jericho. This is Utah. Okay. Here we go. Jericho, Utah. All right. So we got Moab. Back up a little bit for you. All right. So we got Utah. See that clearly, I think. All right, cool. Utah. This is Moab, Nebo, Jericho. All right, Pisgah was over there, seen too. So far we have everything right there. What else? And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead. Is there a Gilead in Utah? All right, going once, going twice. What does the survey say? Family. If your mind ain't blown yet, man, you need some wake up juice, man. I don't know what to tell you. Gilead, Utah. What? Gilead Way. Oh, wow. So that's Utah. Boom. That's Moab. Remember? All right. We have Pisgah over there. We have Jericho somewhere over here. This is Gilead. And what you'll find is that all this is the land of Gilead. Right there. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the Mount Nebo to the top of Pisgah that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan. This is the tricky one because they're going to try to fool you. You can't just put in Dan. These little suckers renamed it to Daniel. That's right. Daniel, mother effing Utah. That's Dan. Gilead, Dan, Moab, all right? Still with me? Moab, Gilead, Dan. Where else did he go? And Naphtali. Come on, how you spell Naphtali? You know, you don't spell that word every day. Naphtali, N-A-F. Tali. This is what's funny is that sometimes it's not even named anymore, but they're still going to go there. Look, I just put Naphtali in, and they just take me over to this little area. That's Moab, that's Utah, so Naphtali must be over here somewhere, just by virtue. Look, they just took us over here. I just went to, show you clearly. Naphtali, you see that right here? That's Naphtali. I typed it in, and they took me right here into Utah. So far, and the land of Ephraim. Most of y'all that know Utah already know there's Ephraim in Utah. Excuse me. Ephraim, Utah. It just comes right up. Ephraim. We didn't go nowhere. We are still in Utah. That is still Moab. This is still Ephraim. That is still Jericho. And that is still Utah. Come on. And Manasseh. Is there a Manasseh in Utah? Do we have a Manasseh? Manasseh, Manasseh, Manasseh. Manasseh in Utah. Look, where are they taking us? They just took us over. They're just taking us over here, where the Great Salt Lake is. In mother effing Utah. That's Manasseh over here. Moab, Manasseh's over here. Why is all the kingdoms of Israel in Utah, where the Aztec homeland is? That is the land of the Azlan. That's the Aztec homeland. The Aztec homeland is in Utah, and the entire kingdom of Israel, you'll find it when you put it in Google Earth in Utah. What is going on? And the land of Judah. Very interesting. You type in Judah, Utah. Where's it going to take us? You know it's not called Judah no more. That'd just be crazy. But where does it take us? Does it take us somewhere crazy? Does it say, I can't find it? Judah, Utah? Oh, wait. Now it's going to go crazy and take me to Nebraska. Don't play. We've been through this. Judah, Utah. Come on. Don't you play now. Yeah, it just wants to act crazy now. You check it out, though. Last time it took me to Golden Spike. Judah City, I believe, in Utah. I put in Judah City. Ah, wait a minute. It took me to Golden Spike, I think Utah. They calling Judah Golden Spike. And look what they put. Look, they got their church. You know what I'm saying? You go in close. Man, these people put up town halls and stuff. This is when the Mormons came in and started renaming everything. When you look at the Canyonlands, the Zion National Park, all the national preserves that they still have there, that's what they've done. You know what I'm saying? They've preserved whatever, but that land is still that land, and they named it all biblical names because they knew where they were. They were in the Aztec homeland. They knew the Aztec were Israelites, and they were following Moses. And he died there in the land of Moab. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died in the land of Moab according to the word of the Lord. And he was buried in the valley of the land of Moab over against Beth Peor. Just for fun. Can we find a Beth Peor, Utah? Come on, just for fun. Beth Peor, Utah? Come on. Where you gonna take me? Where we going? They just went over here. Look, that's Moab. He said it was buried around Beth Peor, in the valley of Beth Peor. Right there. Beth Peor, Utah. Even if they don't call it that, they're still taking you to those areas. So go do this yourself. Google Earth. The entire kingdom of Israel is in Utah, Moab, Ephraim's over there. Believe Judah. Where's that golden spike again? It's there. It's just all the way to the seas. How did he say it? The land of Zoar. Oh, we didn't even look at that yet. Abraham. Oh, land of Judah unto the utmost sea. So I believe either that's land of Judah stretched all the way to the sea this way, or you can look at it as land of Judah going all the way to this particular utmost sea, this particular area here. Either way, it's in Utah, folks, man. So again, shout out to Lex Will for the drive and the great homework assignment. King, keep it coming. And y'all get with it, man. Deuteronomy 34. Read it yourself. Look at every single name in there, and you'll find it in Utah. King drop.
All right. So y'all got to see for yourselves. All right. Y'all saw that video, the drop, what was going on about the land, right? So I got another video right here. I'm gonna play y'all. These people know. It's just the people who here don't know who they are. And it's a big secret to us. But these people know exactly where they are and what this land is and what America is. That's why everybody around the world wants to come to America. They want to see the lands that they never could come to before. Okay. But like I said, that was a pretty good they broke that down. And just like the drop showed you on there, the 432 drop, he showed you, right? That they reclassified the area as well. So this is what's been going on throughout the states. And this is what I said. So when you go about the Arbor Pike now, that's why they wanted to create a land of Israel somewhere else to fool everybody else to believe it's somewhere else. They had to move from here to put it overseas, and the Roman Catholic Church and all of them are part of this. This has been a great deception for the whole world. Then if I tell everybody, oh, you know, the promised land is the United States. Or excuse me, forget the United States, that's a corporation. It's in the Americas. Oh, no. There's something wrong with you. But you can't tell them nothing. Because they've been brainwashed by the mainstream and all the news and organizations, but they forget one thing: who owns all that? And that's why social media is such a threat to them, because we out here telling the truth. But listen to this guy right here. He's driving his car. You think they think they don't know? Listen to this guy.
Driving for 45 minutes here doing 70 miles an hour. There has not been a bird, a human being or any sign of life out here, this would be like the perfect place to commit a crime if you wanted to. Because guess what? There is no one to save you out here, man. You are on your own. You crash out here, it's curtains. We are somewhere in Utah between Salt Lake City and Fallen, Nevada. This is God's country out here. Some of the most beautiful scenery and rivers, amazing stuff I've ever seen. And the fact that there's no civilization, so to speak, out here just blows my mind. So if you think you've seen the whole country and you haven't been out here yet, man, you got to check it out. It's unbelievable. This would be a great place to take a supercar or a sport bike and find out if it can really do 180 or 220 miles an hour right here. Long, straight roads with no one around. You got to check it out. And you feel the presence of God out here. Absolutely. God bless the United States of America, man. This is God's country. Absolutely. No holy oil needed out here, man. This is virgin soil. I was even thinking there's probably areas out here that no man has ever stepped on the soil out here, ever. So check it out sometime if you ever get a chance to do a road trip. Thanks for watching. God bless.
So y'all hear that, right? That's coming out of his mouth. Not my mouth, his mouth. So you can see, you see what he says about that land. So he knows that that is God's country. And how many other people know the truth of this? But see, when you don't do no research and you just stuck at one side of the book, you will never come to the true understanding of what's going on. So as I told y'all from the beginning, that's why I started out with Albert Pike from the beginning, because in 1871, during the same time of Reconstruction, that's the reset that was going on, right? They were renaming, reclassifying things. And he had plans also to make a state of what? Israel and Palestine. So why did they want to move it over there in 1871? And why did it was a conspiracy? Because they actually did it in the 40s, didn't they? After World War II. But then as we read the scriptures, you see for yourself that even they were with the Christian, why it wasn't fulfilling it, or this must have been metaphors then. No, because it didn't fulfill any prophecy. Man can't create that. The Most High told you he going to do everything. And when he do it, there won't be no more wars, because that would be the end of everything. Israel will be turned back to their land. They will have a new covenant in their heart that they won't have to tell anybody, because everybody going to know from the least to the greatest of the Most High. And from one Sabbath to one Sabbath, everybody going to worship the Most High, and he's going to set up his kingdom amongst his people, the children of Israel. And right now we know the true Israelites or the Hebrews are on the bottom. And there's way more clues that I can give and show you the truth to the people. But this video is going to be too long. I just want to read one more thing, and I'm done with this video. Talking about concerning who he was talking about to be the Messiah. I already read y'all some scriptures. Here's another one in Isaiah chapter 11. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. A branch shall grow out of his roots. Now, who was Jesse? Jesse was the father of King David. Jesse was a rod out of the stem of Jesse, his bloodline. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. It was talking about King David. And the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. Now you see, in the New Testament, this is talking about Jesus. No, because first of all, Jesus never came out of nobody. Did he? Did he come out of Joseph? No. Because the thing that was in him came from the Holy Spirit, according to that. It bypassed Joseph. And the Spirit and Mary got together and had Jesus. And Joseph didn't know Jesus. Joseph didn't know Mary till after. And that's what it says over there in the New Testament. But guess what? He's not the seed. That's the hijack, and y'all don't even see it. But King David did come through Jesse. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid. Now, this is talking about when he comes back, as we already said in Ezekiel 37, in Jeremiah 30, and Ezekiel 34, when David shall be king. And the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. See, that's when the new covenant is now in. And now we shall know to do right. We don't have to know the law because it's going to be written in our hearts. And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign to the people. For an ensign to the people, to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. See, they come up from all these other places. And he shall set up an ensign for the nation, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. See, it didn't happen yet, y'all. That is not a fulfillment of prophecy that y'all see over there right now. They have fooled the world, but they have not fooled everybody. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. See, it's going to be peace. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite in even the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. And right now, they're saying that the real Egypt is over here, you know. And so when these people came into power, they reset places and renamed places. And that's why everybody's so out of whack. But thanks to people like Camarimio, Ahu, Lex Will, the brother I just showed, 432 Drop, there are people like them and others. They're showing you that a lot of the so-called ancient biblical stuff actually happened in the Americas. And that's why you don't see Pharaoh's chariots and they couldn't find stuff, because it didn't happen over there. Remember, that land was created in 1948. There's nothing ancient about it at all. It was created in 1948. And there was a plan to create it way earlier than that. And the true Hebrews are on the bottom. And still they're on the bottom. according to the book and according to real life. Because real life is the book, because these people have a sign on them. And you can see it throughout the earth. Children are their oppressors, and the women rule over them. And that's exactly what you see today. You see the women in the home raising the child, no father. Okay? There's so many more scriptures I can get. This video gonna be too long, right? As it is. So anyway, there's something I needed to show y'all today. I thank y'all for watching. Stay tuned for my next video. I still got a lot more to go. This is the Truth Seeking Network. Peace. Till next time. And I'm out.